who are like the elite people, like the Clintons. It's just like the entire group. That is unbelievable. But beside that, we still didn't learn what a Rotary Club is, by the way. But Kevin Mather goes on, and that dude put that foot so far in his mouth where he just, I guess you can appreciate not lying. He straight up says Kelenic will not make the opening day roster because he wouldn't agree to a 6-year contract extension, the one that, similar to Evan White, what Evan White did. And I guess Kelenic was kind of pissed. Like, some reporters reported like he was not happy about this. Then goes on to just kind of trash Julio Rodriguez a little bit. He literally, unprompted, Bogman, he goes and mentions Julio Rodriguez's English as something that's holding him back, calls him loud, says his English isn't great, and that's another guy that you're not going to see. And Julio, I don't know if you saw, he did a Photoshop meme of his head on Jordan, and he tweeted it, and he said, and then I took that personally.
Yeah, I think people in the group me room posted it, so I definitely saw it. Yeah, that was
what a douche.
Sounds like maybe Kevin here had a little bit too much caviar and champagne before this interview, right? Like maybe they got him a little too loose.
Maybe we should go sit in the grass. Maybe we don't belong in
I don't
behind
care if
home
I don't
plate.
belong. I'm not sitting in the grass. So
you're not gonna do that.
I'm not gonna spend a full day out, like you said, getting skin cancer and not saying anything. So no thanks.
Yeah, this video, open service time manipulation is something else. Joe asked me a really interesting question, and I'm glad he did, because this is what kind of went in my mind. Is my initial reaction was like, well, crap, we gotta put Kelenic down, because if they're going to full on manipulate the service time, that's at least a month that we're probably going to lose where he plays in AAA. But it's so outlandish. It's so outlandish of him coming out and doing that. He's already had to apologize and stuff. I'm not sure I'd be shocked if they don't put themselves in a situation like there's got to be ramifications for that. I suppose the only way you can get away with that is there's a CBA agreement. So whenever there's agreements like this, any egregious thing where the Players Association could be like, he literally is open manipulating his time, they could just put it into their agreement to say like, hey, don't slap us on the wrist because we did this. But I'm not sure if I'm going to counteract and move him a whole bunch, actually, now that I think about it, because I think there's a legit shot, he's motivated, that the team might have to openly give some more consideration, because the publicity is going to be horrific if he just pimps out in spring training and then they just send him back down. He already said it's because of manipulation. So I haven't decided where I'm at on it.
Yeah, I think you just have to move him down. Like you said, a little bit. He's already fairly low on a lot of these ranks that I was looking at before, and he was getting drafted higher. So I feel like his arrow had been pointing up until Kevin Mather said this. And now that this is kind of out in the open, and I think he kind of has to do it, or else he's going to look like an idiot at this point. We know he's going to miss at least that month. And who knows if there's going to be any delays to the minor league season or any of that stuff. So I think, he probably needs to, fall off most 12-man redrafts, and 15-man probably borderline. You're going to have to hold a spot for him open, and it's harder and harder to hold a spot for a guy that's down in the minors with COVID. So I don't think he's draftable in most formats. Draftable, addable and able to carry him on your roster. Of course, Jared Kelenic, he's going to be really great. But
I don't know if I agree with that.
This is annoying.
I don't know if I agree with that, because the top prospects, like, there's plenty of guys that you know are going to miss a month and you can still take. It just, you can't go as high. I think he had an NFBC ADP of like 210 or something like that. And I had him really high out of the hopes that this guy really could break camp. But there's just a lot of stuff that's shrouded in it. And, just also, it's not great when there's high managerial issues with players and you're 2 stars. You come out and do that. It's unbelievable. So really, really stupid stuff. But monitor that. Kelenic, I think, is going to be a fascinating monitor during spring training. I never thought Julio was going to break camp or anything like that, but just keep an eye on it.
He's going around, just real quick, he's going around Leody Taveras, who I know you like, and you'd rather have Taveras, right?
Yeah, because he's going to lead off and he's going to make the team.
Hae-Sung Kim,
but if Kelenic were to make the roster, clearly him over. Just pointing that out.
I absolutely agree with that. But in this range, and I'm just going off of Fantasy Pros ranks.
What's the rank?
Their rank is 254.
That's not bad. Oh, wait, Fantasy Pros or NFB?
Fantasy Pros is 254.
Okay, well that's just an aggregate of rankers that go high and low. He's being drafted around the 210 area.
Well, he's ranked 175 on Fantrax, 209 on Yahoo, and he's post 300 on ESPN. So 175 in Fantrax. I mean, he's got to go well below that. Yeah. And I think he's got to go well below this 209 on Yahoo as well. And he'll probably get adjusted, and he's just going to start falling. I think even if you go to the Fantasy Pro site and look, the arrow is trending down on him.
Yeah, it is trending down a little, but I think it's worth monitoring with the publicity that was put on this. This is the next level. I mean, Mather, he might have got away if he just openly would have manipulated the service time in public, but then you're getting into the weeds when you're starting to bring up, Julio Rodriguez's English for no reason. And he's had to publicly not retract, but like make an apology for insensitive, just bull-ass comments that he made. So he's an idiot. That's all there is. He's an idiot. Steven Strasburg told reporters on Sunday that he's feeling no side effects after surgery for carpal tunnel syndrome. So quickly, are you back?
No, absolutely not.
Of course not.
Never.
Of course you're not.
Never, ever. I was back last year. In 2019, he did all this stuff. He looked great. Didn't miss many starts, maybe one start the whole year. And then this year, he just proved once again in 2020, even in a shortened season, he can't stay healthy. I'm done. I'm out. No more. Never again, ever.
Not me. I'm not. He's so cheap now. I haven't drafted him, I think, once in any of our mocks. So I'm not going to claim like I'm in on him. But I think he's very cost-effective.
How much are you willing to pay for 15 starts?
Yeah,
that's what you have to ask yourself.
I mean, I suppose, but like any other team, they're probably going to limit innings this year and maybe move to 6-man or potentially throw in a 6-man here or there. And I just don't think guys go super deep into games. I think he's cost-effective. He used to never be cost-effective, and that was his problem. It'd be like, hey, he had this injury, but he's going inside the top 55. Now he's going like closer to 100. So I'd be willing to take the risk. The Athletic reports that Shohei Ohtani visited Driveline Baseball this offseason to overhaul his training regimen, which is fantastic. He was actually wearing this like wristband the other day to monitor the stress on his arm. And that was really interesting that they're doing that. So, Ohtani's been given the good go to hit and pitch full on as he would, and he is implemented Driveline, and they're using some of that tech right now in spring training. I think those are all really, really good signs, Boggs. So
yeah, I mean, he was wearing a wristband. I think I saw him. He had some crystals in his pockets too. So I think he's going to be fine this year. No injury for sure. He's got a wristband and crystals.
I mean, let's get a little he should actually brand that. Like the Ohtani crystal necklace. That'd be great.
The Ohtani crystal method.
Yeah.
That's what it's
called.
Right.
That's a team name right there. Someone's going to use it. Shane Bieber arrived to spring training in Goodyear on Saturday. I would note he has been here in Arizona. I've seen there's people that I know that got COVID. I mean, he literally did. 2 weeks ago, I had told Bogman about this story. He was seen at Camelback Mountain hiking and running and stuff. So he got COVID out here. So don't make a big deal. Hey, he just arrived. He had been here, but he's back with the team. This one I'm very big on. I do feature this as a conversation piece on Fantasy Pros with Joe. But Chris Paddock said Sunday that he had worked on spin rate and spin efficiency on his fastball over this offseason. And it's one of the things in the last episode with Joe here on ITL, he had asked me why I was back in. He had worked on that third pitch, didn't get time to develop it. It got shortened. He kind of went back to his fastball whenever he wasn't getting all the swings on his changeup, and he just got hit up more. He's gotten back into the fastball, and he said, he'd starting to use it curveball again, so he can start utilizing that. But he had said in this conversation that he had never paid attention to spin rate on his fastball, and then the guys with the Padres started showing him. And he didn't care about spin efficiency or anything like that. And he was amazed by it. So now he's all in. He's using Rapsodo. He's using all this stuff now. That is great for him. He doesn't walk. He had an abnormal home run rate that really got taken away from him. I think Paddock is going to come back this year, and he's a major buy for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, great pedigree, right? The track record isn't as good as the pedigree. So that's when guys become, deals pretty much. Yeah. So I like where Chris Paddock is going, and I would absolutely pick him up as well. I like anytime you see a guy like pay attention to something like this, an advanced stat, an analytic, whatever it is, something that he hasn't done before to improve himself. I think those guys are moving better. Now, I will say that, Eno is always like 2 years ahead on these things, sure. Right? Like he kind of brings it to the forefront, and then people start paying attention. But have you seen the new one in seam shifted wake? Seam shifted wake is so confusing to me. I'm like, is this string theory or is this is this baseball? Like, what is this now? Is this the multiverse? I'm not sure. That one is a little weird to me, but spin rate, spin efficiency, and just guys taking a little deeper dive on anything they can do to make themselves better, I always love.
That's the last sentence you said is the important thing to me. It's guys taking an active role in becoming better. I think it can be huge. Like everybody, we're so, like everything we see, we're just like jaded. And we're just like, whatever. Oh, Vlad's lost some weight. Okay, whatever. No, it's a big deal, dude. He was big and all fatty, and he lost 30 pounds. He's going to be able to drive the ball better.
Well, I'm not going to, we don't need to say best shape of their life is important. Sometimes it's important.
But
you hear that a lot about, I understand.
Specific is an interesting one because what's the biggest thing that was holding him back? It's been his launch angle. I mean, he's also been 2021 struggling and just adjusting to MLB. Even then, he's still been going. But
I mean, I think that's the first thing that James said in your panel too, right? When you're evaluating players, is look at his body, see if he. And I mean, James danced around this, but is he a fatty? Do you think he's going to have a hard problem controlling his weight like Bogman and not the Welsh anymore?
Well, but also like what if that just changes 1 millisecond of him being able to drive his hands closer to the ball? That could be the difference between a double off the wall and a no-doubter home run. Because he's a big max. Max EV still there, so
he's a big Mac eater. Yeah.
I'm just saying some of the things when a guy takes an active approach of change. Hey, Ohtani goes to driveline. Does it mean everything? No, but Kershaw went to driveline right before this past season, and he had a pretty good 2020. Like I want to see these guys do those things. It doesn't have to drive them up crazy, but guess what it does? It pinpoints to me, Paddock is another one of those deal guys where he's going. He's not expensive, so I like it. Just some other quick ones that I thought were interesting that Bogman put on here. Eduardo Rodriguez said Friday that he's 100%. He thinks he's in position to make 30-plus starts, and the team also confirmed that he's good to go in spring training. So that's one of those guys that people weren't sure where he stood.
I mean, I was big on him last year, and I drafted him in a lot of leagues that we did early. We redrafted a couple of them before we knew he was out for the year, but yeah, I mean, this is great news.
It's very good news. Lourdes Gurriel is going to receive reps at first and third base this spring. This is a guy that could play second. He could play short. He can play outfield. He's literally going to be able to be a super utility for them. Interesting that they did note third and first, places that Vlad plays. But, versatility is fantastic. Don't know if he's going to get enough games there to qualify over the entire season, but it could help for next year or so.
Well, he already qualifies in Yahoo, so because he practiced there one time.
Duh, he does. Adrian Morion and Ryan Weathers are considered candidates to start if the Padres elect to go with a 6-man rotation this season. Not Mackenzie Gore. Continued to be a little bit of a problem and why that exists. Adrian Morion really had a kind of like a solid run. I don't know how far in deep he can go into games. Ryan Weathers is trending up. Neither am I super, super excited about. Brian Snitker told reporters Saturday that it's too early to assume that Christian Pache will be the Braves' starting center fielder. This feels like, hey, kid, you haven't earned it, but who else do they have?
Right. That's exactly. This is manager speak. This is Zach Gallen hasn't cracked the rotation yet from last year.
Totally. Such a good analogy you just gave. That's exactly what it is. Like, okay, bud, you're not going to have your gold glove outfielder. I mean, he needs to learn to hit a little bit, but you're going to tell it's too early that he's in there? All right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, his competition is another his competition is another gold glove center fielder and Ender Inciarte. So I think I take this one a little more seriously.
No, I forgot about that. I forgot about Ender.
I still think it's going to be Pache. So
it's a really great point, Bogdan. I'm sitting here. I'm like, what a asinine. Oh, yeah, Ender. I forgot Ender's. But, what have I always said about.
He couldn't hit his weight, and he's skinny as hell.
You know what I always said about Ender Inciarte, Boggs?
Not good enough.
Gerardo Parra 2.0.
Oh, come on. Look, you know what?
Really
That's
wrong.
not as insulting as you think it is. Not great for fantasy, of course, because neither one of those guys are good for fantasy. But real life, pretty good players, and pretty good players get on the field.
Astros manager Dusty Baker, this one's really weird, said Saturday that Forrest Whitley has been unable to report to the team's spring training site yet. Did you see why? I want to know why.
No, but I also wonder, like, Dusty Baker hates young kids so much. Is he there and Dusty just is completely